Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. This one is tailor-made specifically for you, the open and distance learning journalism student. Today, we're totally demystifying the visual tools of documentary filmmaking. You see, as a journalist stepping into the documentary world, your main job is to capture the truth, right? But how you actually capture that truth, well, that matters immensely. It's not just about hitting record. We need to figure out how to use your camera and your lights not just to record a scene, but to tell a truly compelling, immersive story. So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the documentary visual language, move into directional moves, explore different camera styles, tackle lighting the scene, and finally, look at the perfect combination of all these elements. Basically, we're going to compare contrasting techniques to show you exactly how your choices directly impact your storytelling. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the documentary visual language, scripted versus unscripted reality. Now, as a documentary filmmaker, you face a pretty unique challenge, one that completely sets you apart from folks shooting scripted Hollywood movies. I mean, you aren't on a controlled soundstage where every single mark and every light is perfectly choreographed. No way. Instead, you're out there capturing the dynamic, unpredictable, and honestly, sometimes downright chaotic nature of real-life events. You're an observer. So the big takeaway here is that your tools, meaning your camera movements and your lighting choices, are your real-time solutions for capturing this unpredictable reality on the fly. They guide the narrative, build tension, and suck your viewer in, all without ruining the authenticity of the moment.
Moving right along to Section 2, Directional Moves. We're looking at panning versus tilting.
Let's see how horizontal and vertical storytelling actually build your narrative flow, starting with panning. So panning is the horizontal movement of the camera to smoothly follow or reveal subjects across the frame. Just imagine you're standing completely still on a street corner and you're just turning your head directly from left to right. When you move the camera side to side on its axis like that, you're smoothly guiding your viewer's attention to track the action exactly as it unfolds horizontally, kind of like following a subject walking down a super busy market street.
On the flip side, we have tilting. Tilting involves a vertical movement of the camera, up or down, while the base stays completely fixed. Think of it like nodding your head up and down. This specific move is absolutely perfect for capturing the sheer height of a subject. Think about revealing a towering skyscraper from the street level all the way up, or tracking an action from top to bottom. It immediately shifts the spatial awareness of your viewer.
And this really beautifully illustrates the contrast between the two. Simply choosing to move the camera side to side with a pan versus up and down with the tilt instantly changes the perspective. It changes the actual information you're giving your audience. Like a horizontal pan might reveal the massive scale of a crowd at a local community event, right? While a vertical tilt might emphasize the imposing, powerful stature of a single speaker standing on a podium. The movement itself is literally telling part of the story.
Next up, Section 3, Camera Styles, Smooth versus Raw.
Now, let's talk about how the actual style of your camera movement can actively inject emotion into your documentary. As an independent distance learning student heading out into the field, you've got to remember this core mission. You are trying to capture the dynamic and unpredictable nature of real-life events. And honestly, how you physically hold and move that camera dictates exactly how your audience is going to feel that reality.
Just notice the stark psychological contrast in feeling here. On one hand, a smooth, controlled camera, maybe stabilized using a tripod or a dolly track, instantly creates this serene, professional vibe. It conveys crystal clarity and is absolutely perfect for formal, sit-down interviews where you want the viewer to feel calm and entirely focused on what the subject is saying. But on the other hand, choosing a raw handheld style, that immediately plunges your viewer into a sense of urgency and chaos. If you're filming a dynamic protest or a rapidly unfolding crisis, that shaky participatory footage mirrors the unpredictability of the moment. It makes the audience feel like they're right there in the thick of the action with you.
All right, Section 4, Lighting the Scene, Natural versus Artificial. So, after camera movement, let's explore your most powerful tool for establishing mood and visual consistency, lighting. As an independent student filmmaker, you're constantly going to be weighing these two options. Natural lighting utilizes the available light already in your environment, like glorious sunlight pouring through a living room window. It inherently creates a super realistic, authentic atmosphere, but it can be wildly unpredictable. I mean, there is literally nothing worse than a perfectly timed dark storm cloud rolling in right during your subject's emotional climax. On the flip side, artificial lighting, using tools like softboxes or portable LED panels, gives you precise, intentional control. You can manipulate effects and maintain a totally consistent look, no matter what the weather is doing outside. When you do decide to use artificial light for something like an interview, mastering this simple 3-point lighting setup is an absolute game changer. It's the most reliable way to add professional depth to any subject. Remember, film is a two-dimensional medium, so we have to create the illusion of 3D space. First, your key light provides the main illumination. Second, your fill light softens the harsh shadows on the opposite side of the face. And finally, the backlight shines from behind, separating your subject from the background and giving them this gorgeous professional outline.
And hey, if you really want to push your visual storytelling even further, you can try chiaroscuro. It's a bit of a fancy art history term, but it really just means utilizing high contrast between bright lights and deep dark shadows to evoke intense drama or mystery. By deliberately leaving parts of your subject or scene in deep shadow, you totally engage the viewer's imagination. It drastically alters the emotional weight of your narrative.
Now, since documentaries rarely happen in perfectly controlled studios, consider this your ultimate real-world cheat sheet for unpredictable lighting. Filming in the harsh midday sun? Try to find some shade, or just position your subject with their back to the sun to avoid those ugly facial shadows. Stuck indoors in low light? Carefully adjust your camera's ISO settings or bust out a portable LED. And for those unpredictable outdoor shoots, always try to film during the golden hour, right after sunrise or just before sunset, and use simple, inexpensive reflectors to bounce that beautiful natural light exactly where you need it.
Which brings us to Section 5, the perfect combination, synergizing camera and light.
Let's bring everything we've talked about together, because honestly, true documentary magic happens when your camera moves and your lighting choices work as a unified team. So what happens when you combine handheld chaos with harsh lighting? Ask yourself how combining these specific, raw tools might totally alter the emotional tone of your scene. Try to put yourself right in the shoes of the viewer experiencing that exact combination.
Well, by intentionally pairing a shaky, handheld camera with harsh, unforgiving light, you heighten tension and urgency to the absolute max. On the other hand, combining slow, smooth pans or tilts with soft, beautifully diffused light creates a highly reflective, intimate atmosphere, which is just perfect for a deeply personal interview. And tracking shots paired with directional lights, that's going to cast deep, shifting shadows that heavily emphasize momentum and movement. But remember your ultimate goal through all of this. You must balance these artistic choices without ever disrupting your subject's natural, authentic behavior.
And that brings us to our final question to close out today's explainer. How will you balance your artistic camera and lighting choices with the raw, unfiltered essence of reality in your next documentary shoot? As you head out into the field with your newly demystified toolkit, I really want you to keep this thought in mind. Let the reality guide your tools, and ensure your visual techniques always serve the profound truth of your story. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and thanks so much for joining me.